Hi, my name is George Cunningham. I'm here today with author Larry LaRue, who's just released his new book, Major League Encounters. And I have to say, I found this book fascinating. And I found the people in it fascinating. And how'd you come to write this book? Because it's just your personal encounters with folks in this business.
It wasn't a book when I started it. It was going to be something for my daughter. I was writing my personal encounters with certain players, and I'd write one, attach a picture to it, and put it in a little notebook. And I thought at some point I'd give it to my daughter and say, this is my life in sports. This was my life covering Major League Baseball. And I gotten more and more players and managers and coaches that I'd written about, and I began to think maybe this was more interesting than just something you want to give your daughter. It was stories about personal encounters with major league players and their stories. I didn't want to write biographies of any of them, but I wanted to have anecdotes about who they were and what kind of people they were on and off the field.
And I know when I read it, I was, some of these folks are really nice, salt of the earth, and some of them weren't so nice. And that seems to be a representation of the entire population in a way, except these guys live extreme lives. And there's a lot of extenuating circumstances. And can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, if you're a major league ball player, real life sometimes doesn't enter into it. You travel by charter airplane. You don't take your own suitcase to the hotel. The hotel takes it up to your room once it's there. So you don't worry about cab rides. You don't worry about airline flights. Some of these guys, when they first come up, have never taken many flights. Some Latin players who maybe never left Venezuela, and everything's taken care of for them. They get meal money on trips, and their lives are not like real lives. Occasionally, off the field while they're in Chicago and they're home in Seattle, gets flooded, and the wife or the friend has to take care of it. Then real life enters into it, except somebody else has to take care of it because they're not there. So their lives are not normal, and most of them maintain a little sense of reality, but it's their own reality. It's not necessarily the world reality.
Well, it's certainly not. And I was interested. In fact, these guys play in front of thousands of people, and a lot of these players are just in their mid-20s or early 30s, and suddenly they're in front of thousands of people, and it's not always a friendly crowd. Sometimes it's a hostile crowd. Does this have an effect on them?
It can. I mean, you get minor league players who come up at age 19 or 20. They've been playing the minor leagues in front of crowds of 8,000 people in small stadiums, very quiet crowds, if you will. Then all of a sudden they're in Yankee Stadium that holds 50,000 people, and if you're in the bullpen warming up and you're from the opposing team, the fans will throw a chicken bone at you just to see if they can rattle you a little bit. So there's quite a bit of an adjustment. And there are guys who have failed because of that. They just cannot cope with that kind of crowd. I was going to tell a story, but I thought it might be too long.
Well,
Tell us.
Okay. There was a pitcher with the New York Yankees who really got stage fright. He couldn't pitch in New York. And his manager, Lou Piniella, was in the dugout getting ready for the game. And the trainer came running out and said, Lou, you've got to come back here. And Lou said, I can't. There's a game about to start. And the trainer said, Lou, you've really got to come back here. So Lou went back to the trainer room, and the starting pitcher, who was supposed to be on the mound in a few minutes, sat there and was trembling. And he looked white and pale, and he was just scared to death. And he said, Lou, I just can't do it. And Lou said, well, okay, I'll get somebody else. And the guy immediately, regained his confidence. He said, what? I can do this. I can do this. And Lou Piniella said, great. And he fainted.
So, well, there's got to be things that stories like this become legends, and this book certainly has them. And I recommend it highly to anybody. Major League Encounters by Larry LaRue. And if you're interested in baseball, or even if you're not, you're going to like this book, I guarantee it. Thanks a lot. Thank you, Larry.
Thank you, George.